All right, we are live streaming to the workshop Facebook page. Hey, I'm Alisha Rayne, coming to you from the from the workshop Facebook page. We are bringing to you another workshop where different comedians, we're going to workshop material on a subject that was given to us ahead of time. And then we're going to give critique of the material that the comedians put out, and then we're going to do another round. We're going to do our own material, and then we'll give critique on that. We've had some really awesome weeks, and I think this is just going to be another awesome week. We have some really cool comedians. Tom Padavano, he's out of New York City, and then Eric Oribe, he's out of Michigan. So we're going to have a great time. I'm going to go ahead. I'm Alisha Rayne. Forgot to introduce myself, from South Dakota. And so let's go ahead and get to it. Tom, you're going to be our first. You're going to be first in the hot seat. What's your subject? And then let us hear it.
Cores, C-O-R-E-S.
All right.
Ready? Okay. Well, singularly, core is in the middle. But in the middle of what? I'm not a doctor. Now, some people are rotten to the core. That much I know. I mean, and if you are, do you see a choreologist? Do you have to join the Marine Corps? Do you have to make sure you have core values? You always hear about that. Your core values. Do you drink cores? Is there a cure for being rotten to the core? Are you born with bad cores? Is having bad cores even worse than bad vibes? I don't know if there's a study to say. Now, if you have core values, what if your core values are rotten to the core? And who's to say what core value is right? Doesn't everybody have a different core value? Hey, don't mess with my core values. They might be different than yours. I think they're better. But we could discuss that. Now, fruits have cores. Now, if fruits go rotten, does that mean they're rotten to the core? Maybe they're just rotten on the surface. Is everything rotten to the core? Maybe certain things are just rotten to your skin or rotten to your nose. Does it have to get all the way into the middle? This discussion is way too deep for me. I really have no idea too much more about cores. But me not knowing about things, that's one of my core values. So I thank you for listening to me, and may the cores be with you.
Woo, thank you, Tom, so much. There's some fun stuff in there for sure. May the cores be with you. That's so great. Is it if you're evil to the core, do you go to a choreologist? Right. And then what about evil villains? What doctor do they go to? What is that doctor like specifically for those? I'm thinking storybook characters wise.
You see a certain psychiatrist for that?
Yeah. So for sure. I think there's some really fun stuff there. Eric, do you have any response?
I just really like the play on words, hitting the center of all of that, and then, drinking cores. And I was waiting to hear something about the Earth's core at some point. Because I feel like you pretty much covered every core, except that one.
True.
And I feel like maybe when you were talking about chorus too, you started right at the beginning of it with, saying that it was the center of something or someone's body. You always hear about people having to engage their core. with all of these workouts and stuff like that. So maybe some more stuff on that too. But other than that, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Okay, good suggestions, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah, the exercise stuff for sure. You can, go so many different directions.
Yeah, engage in the
Even
for all that stuff.
yeah, the protein shake just for your core or whatever. Core hard or I don't know, something like that. Very cool. Yeah, there's some definitely some fun stuff there. All right, Tom. Before I forget, do you have anything that you want us to look you up? Anything?
Well, on TikTok, I'm Tom Comedy 2, the number 2. Instagram, Tom Comedy 2. On Facebook, just my name, Tom Padavano. Like I say, I do my share of different Zoom gigs. I'm trying to think. One thing I'll mention because they're looking for, I guess, audience on the 20th. No, yeah, on the 20th. Cody Benoit, you could look for him on Facebook. That's going to be a 15-minute spot. So that'll be nice because it's hard to find spots that'll give you extended time, which I understand, obviously. So that'll be a 5 p.m. on the 20th Eastern time. So if you want to check that out, Cody Benoit, Benoit, and he might be doing other shows 15 minutes. If any of you guys feel like doing a 15-minute spot, he might be a good person to contact.
Very cool. Those are hard to find. So
yeah,
very cool. All right, definitely look for that in the comments when this gets posted, reposted. All that information will be there, so we'll be able to definitely check that out. But thank you so much, Tom. Eric, we're going to go ahead and move on to you. You had a fun topic. What topic did you have? And then let us hear it.
My topic was post office. One thing, I actually had to go there a couple of weeks ago. I have a sister that lives in a totally different time zone, which is way less feasible for her to be on this workshop because she was remotely interested in. She lives in Japan. And so obviously they're about 10 hours ahead of Eastern time zone. And we went there recently, my fiance and I, to send a little care package to her. And of course, you have to basically sign your life away and, fill out this form and detail everything and make sure that you're not sending anything that's illegal and everything has to be itemized. Almost like a short form of doing taxes. You have to remember what you bought, how much the item was, and how much it weighs and everything else. And totally descriptive. I mean, it's the anti of Amazon shopping. It's like you just type in a couple of words and I want this, and then you have tons of options. But instead of that, you have to describe all the options of everything that you're sending. And, if you miss one little line or one little detail, it's almost like taking a test or some kind of little blue book report. If you leave out one line, they slide it back over to you and do you know this? Do you know that? And then you have to hope that the other person halfway around the world is awake to help you answer the questions because you may not have filled out the address form correctly, even though you thought that you had it. At that point, I would rather just be in a dark room with a heat lamp over my head getting interviewed and by Guantanamo Bay by federal agents at that point. It felt like some kind of just major questionnaire. I'm like, I just want to send a present to somebody and I want them to get it in a decent amount of time and I want them to enjoy it before, I don't know, something gets broken. And then you always worry about sending stuff halfway around the world because, everyone's suspect of everything. You want to rip the box open and see what it was and then they, half-ass tape it back together, hopefully nothing is missing or broken when it arrives. The other thing I did notice, though, is that when you're, I know everything's down to limited capacity for indoor anything or what have you, but the post office is really downsized. There was one window open, and I'm pretty sure there was only one other employee to make sure that there wasn't overcrowding inside while waiting in the ridiculously long line. And of course, if you were running out of stuff, you had to step away, readjust your stuff and then get back in line. And I'm pretty sure while we did that, 10 people got taken care of. And it was getting close to the end of the day. And, you just sit there, the spacing for 6 feet apart is not happening because everyone's in a rush to get in and out of there. If you're in a hurry, don't go to the post office, is what I'm saying. I did notice the other thing was the P.O. boxes that are there. People actually still use those. And one of the things that really reminded me is that scene from the Muppets Take Manhattan, and they're just getting into New York City, and they don't really have a place to stay, and they don't have a lot of money. And Kermit says, all right, break out the quarters. And they're hanging out in those lockers, at a bus station. And I felt like, you know what? I felt like you would be more safe to just use that money to get a post office box for you and a couple of your, Muppet friends. I mean, it's a federal building. The security's way better. You don't have to worry about getting poked at and robbed in the middle of the night by vagrants or homeless people. It's probably going to smell a lot better than having to live in lockers at a bus station in New York, I would imagine. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got, guys. That's my time.
All right. Thanks, Eric. I'm going to go ahead and add Jackie. She made it. Jackie, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm here just to observe.
Oh, okay. No problem. Yeah. All right, Eric, lots of good stuff. So yeah, I like the, like standing in the, trying to send this package is like, if you miss one thing, you might have to go all the way over again, like a bad Groundhog's Day kind of thing. That's where I was going. Partly because I just watched a Groundhog type movie today, or it's like a video game kind of thing. There's no free guy, kind of something like that. Yeah, and I would say even you could even go further with like there's only one person at the post office kind of thing, and they're doing 25 things, and compare it to the DMV. I feel like there's some DMV comparisons there that
for sure.
I don't know. Yeah, for sure. Tom, do you have any response?
I think maybe if you came up with some of the sample questions you asked, maybe you could come up with something funny with that, because you're saying how involved it is to do all this stuff because it's Japan and all. So maybe there's something funny you could come up with that. I think with the Muppet thing, it's good. I think you could get to it quicker. I don't think you needed as much detail as you did about Muppets getting here and the quarters. I think it's good. You could just get to it quicker and kind of edit out some of the words.
Gotcha. Also,
Yeah.
my brain kind of went blank toward the tail end there, so I cut myself short. I was gonna say something because I just saw this the other day about those postal workers that actually don't use the Jeeps, and they're just using their own vehicle, and you have the little orange flag that says Postal Service. I feel like I see more of those in actual postal Jeeps, and it always reminds me now when I see those little orange flags. I can't tell if someone's getting mail delivered or if there's a funeral line. Because they both move about as equally slow. So.
Yeah. Or if it's a funeral for itself.
Yeah, that's good. What's slower, a funeral or that truck?
Right.
Yeah.
That's funny. And then you could go back to the line, like, what's longer, this line or a Catholic Mass kind of thing. You can kind of do that.
Yeah.
Something like that, for sure. Jackie, she was in, she was gone. We'll see if she comes back. Yeah. Eric, do you have any place that we can follow you at, or anything?
So yeah, right there under my name, that is my Twitter. You can just find me under my own name via Facebook, obviously. And that's pretty much it. I don't have TikTok. I don't have. I do have a YouTube channel, but it's not very updated. It's got a few videos on there from when pre-COVID stuff of actual performances. When you can actually leave your house and go do that, but that is about it.
All right, eVoicerious. We'll make sure that that is posted so people can find you, follow you on the social medias. Thank you so much. That was some really good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do my stuff. Mine was minivans. So I kind of went into the direction of public transportation because I lived in California for a long time. I used to ride the bus a lot, the public bus. And, it's interesting because people are actually sometimes kind of nice. They'll be like, oh, do you want to sit down? Or they'll, help somebody sit down who needs help, and it's good to see that chivalry is still alive on the Poverty Mobile. I feel like the bus route is kind of like the exact opposite of As the Crow Flies. It's more just like a maze that you accidentally entered and you're like, when is this going to end? And that's kind of the same for like rideshare. Like if you're on a shared ride with somebody, that's basically like you're paying for somebody to kidnap you to take you to a place that you didn't want to go and then be in the same automobile with somebody that you didn't want to be in the same automobile with. It was, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like a movable escape room, something like that. I don't know, like a cop car, but not. I'm just spitballing a little bit. It is interesting. I feel like buses are just like a mobile fart, just something that's kind of like not silent, but kind of deadly. People feel like, when you are like, oh, I'll see you later. I got to catch my bus. Like, when you tell people that, they're like, the bus, like you hit your head and shouldn't be allowed to your own devices anymore. And they're like, oh my God, they all of a sudden think you think less of you for some reason. I didn't have too much on the subject of minivans. I was just thinking about, how, being a parent changes you, like I don't have kids, but I just noticed that people like before kids, like famous people, for instance, like Amy Schumer, she's a comedian. I like her, before parenthood, she was doing like Netflix specials, all that stuff. And now after parenthood, she's mansplaining my own period to me in a tampon commercial. So really, that's not necessarily a joke, more just an irritation. like I get it. There's levels. Known for years. So anyway, I think that's it. Not too much this week, but a little bit. So, all right. Very cool, you guys. Thank you so much. Any responses are welcome. I'm willing to put down some notes.
I like Poverty Mobile. That was funny. Ride share, maybe you could say like it's successful if you arrive alive and within 24 hours. That's all I ask for on ride share.
I like arrive alive. That's good.
Yeah. I kind of like when you said people act shocked when you say I'm taking the bus. Go, oh really? Who's your next of kin? Something like that, because they're like scared for you when you say you're going to take the bus and all. Those were the thoughts I had.
Yeah, I was going to say on the bus end of it, when you mentioned that you had to catch the bus and people kind of judge you, I kind of imagine those people also thinking about what other poor life choices you would make. Well, you have to go catch the bus. Like, what else wrong, and I immediately went to what else wrong with does that person do with their life, and those people would imagine, all these other things about, how you're a bad online shopper, that you don't go for the name brand stuff when you're at the grocery store, or it's
Yeah.
it's like, you drink Diet Coke instead of regular Coke, or
Mhm.
anything along those lines, that just any other poor decision, the judgment immediately continues. On the ride share thing, I kind of heard something along the lines of, kind of tying in what Tom was saying about, you're paying for a ride with strangers. None of you know what you're going in for, but you all have to individual pay your share. It's almost instead of being with your friends in a car and you guys have split the gas to go to like a theme park or on a road trip. You're all going on a road trip. No one knows each other. They're not talking to each other, but they all have to chip in for their share of the gas or the ride. No one wants to really want to look at each other or talk to each other. So you're just in this weird elevator situation, except you can see outside and where you're actually going. So this is bouncing off the top of my head. But with the minivan thing, I always think of either soccer moms or way too many kids piling out of a car, or a band on the road that hasn't really made it yet. Someone inherits their parents' minivan to like try to live their dreams as a rock band on the road. They have to rip all the seats out to make all room for their equipment. So some guy's laying on the floor next to the speakers, and hopefully nothing falls on him. The other two guys are sitting up front. They always have turns driving, because one guy's got to take his turn laying on the floor with the equipment. But yeah, that was about it.
I just went into like a different direction, just as like a sketch idea where it's like a band, it looks like they're all getting out of like a crappy, van that's like gutted. But then like the mom is like, all right, bye, mom.
Oh, like dropping them off. Oh my
So,
God.
like as a sketch, I don't know. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
Because I'll chat it up. Come on, mom. It'd be funny. All right, very cool. Any other responses to my very short set?
I was just thinking, like, when you tell people you're taking the bus. Oh, I guess you're going to the welfare office, or you're gonna get your unemployment check, or something like you taking the bus. You're going to someplace pitiful because all you could afford is the bus, something like that.
Yeah. And it's just like, no, I'm going to Whole Foods.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I'm taking a bus to get to my limousine, instead of walking to 3 blocks.
Yeah. I think that's.
She freeze?
She froze. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally frozen. Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Oh, did I freeze?
Yeah.
You sure did. Oh,
Frozen again.
frozen again.
Uh-oh.
Frozen
All right.
again.
Am I still frozen?
No.
No, you're good now. Good now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it was my internet. It wasn't yours.
Yeah.
Just going back to like the what other poor decisions are you making? Like are you making?
Oh, no.
Froze again. Oh no.
This is the first. I've never been on one of these where the host ends up freezing.
Right? Yeah. That's true. I don't know if I ever remember the host freezing. It's always one of the participants. There you go.
There she is.
All right.
We got your back.
My internet is the worst. Am I still good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Yeah. So I was just thinking that, going to get like an abortion, going to get, abandon some kids, just like some really terrible choices, and then be like, and yes, I was doing all of those things. So it's just reinforcing it. to me. It's just funny. So,
Mm.
yeah. So, I don't know. Some really good stuff there, guys. I really appreciate the responses. Very cool. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next round. We're bringing our own material. Tom, you are up. Let's hear some good stuff.
All right. Well, listen, I hope you guys have been doing okay during this coronavirus. Now, I've continued to work, but I finally said, boss, can I work from home? He said, no, you're a cab driver. Now, I've always had crazy bosses. I had this one. If I made a mistake, she'd say, Tom, look at the mistake you made. But if she made a mistake, it was, oh, Tom, look at the mistake we made. So I said to her, well, boss, look at the ugly dress we're wearing. Then I had this other boss, a tough guy. Every day he'd say, so, working hard or hardly working? I squeezed his neck and said, well, boss, breathing hard or hardly breathing? I got fired. And I come from a poor family here in New York. But let me tell you something. Every night, my mother had food on the table. I wish we had plates. But, it was tough. When I was a kid, we didn't get along. I was 7. I said, Mom, am I adopted? Oh, son, not yet, but I'm working on it. Well, she was embarrassed by me. I was such a dumb kid in school. I mean, do you know any other kid that got left back so much? In 3rd grade, he was excused for jury duty. It was terrible. My teacher made my parents write on the blackboard 100 times, we won't have more kids. Oh, I had this tough gym teacher, Mr. Godzilla. I'll tell you how tough he was. During recess, when we played dodgeball, he drove the dodge. Terrible. And I have this terrible apartment. It has a bug problem. It's bad. I tried to open the kitchen cabinet door. It was pulled shut from the other side. Now, the other day, I ran out of Raid, so I sprayed a cockroach with furniture polish. It died, but had a great, shiny finish. That was exciting for me. Because let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys have ever been to New York. The subways here are disgusting. And crazy people. The other day, I'm on a crowded train. This man collapses out of his seat, holding his chest. So some guy from the other side of the subway car goes, let me through. I'm a doctor. Let me through. So we let him through. And he steals the guy's seat. This is New York for you. Oh, I'm standing on the platform. This guy goes, do you know what train goes to Coney Island? No, I don't. I do. Nah, 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 nah. Crazy. Oh, and did you know the cab drivers in New York speak over 60 different languages? Not one of them is English. It's amazing. And I think living in New York has gotten me feeling ill. So I got myself a new health plan. I used to be with Blue Cross. Now I'm with IHOP. Yes, IHOP, International House of Physicians. Yeah. Well, I love their slogan. If we can't cure you, we will pay for your funeral. How cool is that? So anyhow, they gave me this doctor, Dr. Julio Alejandro Bernstein. He examined me for less than 5 minutes and told me to come back the next day for an autopsy. Well, he got mad at me. I said, doctor, it hurts me when I touch here. Hurts me when I touch here. Hurts me when I touch here. He goes, idiot, you got a broken finger. But then he said I have certain problems. So he sends me to the Vincent van Gogh Mental Health Center and Ear Clinic. But you want to know something? I'd like it there because they have entertainers come in. Like once they had a hypnotist. He got 5 of us on stage. We were cackling like chickens, barking like dogs. Then he hypnotized us. But you know, it's important to have a good doctor. I feel sorry for my neighbor. Her doctor said, Mrs. Sicko, you only have 10 to live. She goes, what do you mean? 10 years? 10 months? He said 10, 9, 8, 7. That's not good. Well, listen, you've been a wonderful audience, maybe a little confused, but wonderful. And I sincerely hope you had as much fun and pleasure as I've had tension and emotional strain. Don't worry about me. I'll just go back to the Vincent van Gogh Mental Health Center and Ear Clinic. Maybe they'll be able to skip my medication tonight because I'll tell them I did the show, which qualifies for 5 minutes of community service. So thank you.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Let me get some going there. All right, Tom. Awesome. Some good stuff. I love that dishes thing. I love a good, when it hits you like a couple seconds later. I love that. Super good. The one thing I would say is just with the hypnotist, we were barking, we were cackling like chickens. One guy was doing the twist, or one guy was doing something like crazy, and then he hypnotized us. I think that one extra, like the one person was doing something, I think would make it, over the top. So that was my one real tag there. So. Okay. Eric, do you have any response?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Obviously, you can tell that Tom's been doing this for a while. It was very segmented and, put together. The bit with the doctor and the broken finger, the autopsy, and the 10 to live. I had a feeling it was going to be seconds, and I was right. So he kind of left it open, but it kind of came around, and so. But yeah, it was obviously like something that he's written and worked on many times over, and it's solid. So.
I would say, they know 500 different types of languages, and I would say, and 3 of them are English. Could almost work better. And then, you got cab drivers, Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, those could all be kind of in the mix. I think mostly because I don't live in New York. So I think it's just like I just see Lyft and Uber. So
I think you could say broken English is a language.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually originally from New York, so I know the life of cabs before Uber and Lyft.
Okay. Yeah.
So very nice.
Right. Yeah. I right. Exactly. Coming from a different experience for sure.
Yeah.
But
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good stuff. Very cool. All right, Eric, you ready?
Ready. So just this about a day, less than 24 hours ago, here in Michigan, we got the green light to open up to 50% from 25% dining capacity. Max is 100. So if your seating capacity was already very small, it doesn't really change much. You also get to stay open an extra hour. So instead of closing at 10, they're giving them an extra hour to stay open until 11. Even though this dining capacity has gone up 50%, I imagine things that have gone up 50% are passive aggressiveness, wanting to speak to the manager, and the number of Karens that will be complaining about everything. What will not be going up from 25 to 50% will be tipping. That will be unfortunately unchanged. So it'll be interesting to see how the next couple of weeks go. I also have been very fortunate during this terrible time. I have been employed the entire time. Not only have I been gainfully employed the entire time, I actually got a raise. I work in the beverage industry, and so that obviously kept us open. And when you can't leave the house, there's nothing else better to do in the Midwest when it gets cold but drinking. So obviously sales went up for alcohol in our industry, which benefited us. And I felt in a strange way that I was making money off of people uh, due to their downfalls by spending more money on alcohol. I was making more money off of their sadness. And for the first time in my life, I kind of knew what it was like to felt like a Republican, and I had mixed feelings about that. So there's that going on. Um, also, I don't know if you guys noticed this too, but if you've ever been to like a Comic Con or gone to see a movie marathon in this respect, I did something very nerdy several years ago, and that was I literally took a day off of work to go watch all the Marvel movies that led up to the first Avengers screening. I told my boss about it. Not only was he not mad at me, he was extremely jealous for also not taking the day off. I came back to report to him that had no need to be jealous, that yes, as much as I did enjoy being in a movie theater with a few minute breaks in between each film to watch all the movies in order leading up to the Avengers, that was really the only exciting part because everything else was terrible, and I'll tell you why. As much like Comic Con, there's a little bit brighter lights. There's a lot more room to move around in, which in a movie theater is not that case. But what is that same case is that all these same people that are dressed up in ridiculous costumes and still smell like their basement in Cheetos, stale Cheetos at that. What I'm saying is I'm really sure that I was the only person or maybe one of 5 people in the audience in that movie theater that showered before they left the house. So I think before social distancing and before COVID, there should have been signs up like, if you did not watch this, this, and this, please turn around, go home, and come back with your ticket. We'll definitely honor it. You're going to probably miss maybe the first half of a movie, but you're really going to be doing everybody else a favor. I really enjoy walking into a movie theater and you hear and smell the popcorn and the hot melted butter. But unfortunately, I did not smell any of those things and could not get excited about seeing the movie. Also, in those costumes, there was a lot of spandex. Not the kind of spandex that you should see at gyms and be impressed and say, oh man, I can't wait till I'm that small and wear that. No, spandex, if spandex could scream and you made an actual effect from CGI of making that happen, it happened to me left and right of me, in the bathrooms, in the hallways, at the concession stands. Spandex just suffering and looking like, when you take the string and you have it wrapped around like a roast on a holiday, and you stick it in there and there's all those little lumps. That's what's happening to the spandex at the movie theaters. And I don't know who I felt bad more for, those poorly put together costumes, the spandex, the people, and let's not forget the movie theater workers that have to be there all day to smell the terrible like stale Cheetos and dry musty basement smell. And I'm sorry, these parents really have to get involved, and I know that's really happening. Parents have been really getting involved with their kids as much as possible. their hand got forced this past year because of COVID. And I feel like now parents really respect teachers a lot more. So kudos to parents for learning a very tough lesson. Kudos to the teachers that have been trying to advance, their careers and make things a lot, facing those challenges to teach kids via Zoom. Because I can't even imagine. I'm not a parent. I look forward to it someday, but I'm really glad that right now is not one of those times because I feel really bad for the kids. I feel like they're kind of taking the brunt of it. It's almost like your teachers and your parents are in a different argument as if they were already divorced, like divorced parents. And if a single parent is having a fight with a teacher online about how they're teaching their kids, that's got to be even more pressurizing for those children. I can't even imagine like having to watch like a reality show that you didn't subscribe for and watching a parent on one end and the teacher on the other having an argument. That's probably like the worst version of reality TV, and that's really got to scar a kid. But at least they're not getting their lunch money taken away. And if it is, it's probably by someone like me who had a job the entire time. And that's like nice.
Woo! All right, guys. Very cool. I'm just going to grab a pen. It's right over there. 1 second.
Oh, sure.
All right, my pen ran out. Okay, here we are. I would say for the last bit with the thing, start with the reality show.
Gotcha.
So, like the, schooling today, it's like a reality show that the kids didn't want to sign up for, and then kind of go into the detail of all of that.
Okay.
And I feel like, there's a little bit of structure is kind of similar with some of your other bits. You're like kind of starting on the outskirts, and then we kind of see the meat, and then your jokes are right in the meat. You start with the meat first. I love going into the movie theater. I love the smell. Unfortunately, at Comic-Con, it doesn't smell like that.
Right.
Like really get in there and then filter out your jokes, and then you go to the thing and you're going to have jokes the entire time if you like stay focused, because there was some really good stuff there. So
cool.
Yeah, that reality show, I think we need to pitch it to Fox. They do the most really ridiculous shows. So anyway, Tom, do you have any response?
I think she's generally, again, I think you have more words than you need to get from wherever you start to the punch.
Gotcha.
And all. I think it's tightening up. I like the thing, you felt guilty. You're making money of somebody's sadness. Maybe you could even do kind of like an act out. Oh, it's such $100, $200. Oh, I feel such a $300, $400. Oh, I'm not feeling that guilty anymore. I don't know. It's something to play with. The thing with Comic-Con, like, maybe they said, sir, make sure you stay 6 feet away. He goes, no problem. I'll stay 6 rows away. Ugh, maybe I need to stay 6 movie theaters away. What's with this odor? Something.
Right.
I like the way you ended, because you kind of did like a callback where you said about the feeling guilty about the job. Is just something. What did you say at the end? How did you
taking the lunch money?
Yeah, something else you said after that. I thought something about.
Oh, when I came, are you talking about when I came back around when I was talking about the kids and the teachers via Zoom?
No, what was like your last line? Do you remember?
At the very end. Oh, someone that would have to be taking their money, like someone like me, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was good because it kind of referred back to something you were talking about earlier, taking the money out of guilt and all that.
Right.
I think it was a good way to wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The spandex good stuff. All that stuff was super funny. I think you could do like, like the fat rolls were looking like this. You did like really good job with like those specific details and like comparing them. I like doing that, like comparing this looking like another thing, kind of thing. So I think the spandex stuff was super funny. So yeah. And I think like, even feeling like a Republican, you're like, I don't know how I felt about that. But maybe comparing it to something that you did feel good about, it's like I was rolling in the change, or, I think you can expand on that, for sure. Like, now I know what it feels like to, other things that Republicans do that, most people don't experience, or what you think they do, what you think rich people do, what you think like Republicans do can be like really over the top or even like really small. So I think you can work with that for sure. More stuff there.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Really good stuff. Guys, this is super fun. I like listening to other people's perspectives. I also like being jealous of the fact that I never went to Comic-Con. So I would have liked to have gone sometime. But anyway, worn that spandex for sure. Okay. So yeah. So, I think there's such a thing as like bad fashion, like not like fast fashion or like fashion that looks bad. Like, like there's a porn stash, but if that's a blonde stash, then you look like a pedophile. Okay. I think that's also true with aviator shades. I think there's kind of like a serial killer vibe when you're wearing aviators, so therefore that. Also, I'm just working on this a little bit, partly because this has happened to me. So also, pleated khaki pants is my new go-to, where I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's straight up creeper. Because where I work I work at a library, and basically my job is to tell people to shut the fuck up all day long. And, sometimes I have to get the big guns, it's not shh, it's hey. And usually that works. But I had to tell somebody, a lone guy, reading by himself in the children's department, to, hey, this area is reserved for children and their parents. Can you please take your book to the adult section? And he was like, why? And it's just like, I'm not going to take the time to explain to you why it's weird that an adult lone male is in the children's section. So my response was, it's the rules. And he just like, got all huffy and was like, okay. And then he like kind of tossed his books on the table, and I just stared at him until he left the area. Basically, that stereotype of that librarian, the grumpy librarian, I'm it. He experienced it. And the point is, going back around, that guy was wearing khaki pleated pants. So personal experience, if you're wearing khaki pleated pants, I'm thinking you're a creeper. So, just don't wear that. Cosmo top 10 things not to wear if you're a creeper. So, or if you don't want to look like a creeper. Okay, there we go. We got to it finally. All right, guys, now I'm going to get into a couple of bits here. Yeah, I am a very unhealthy person. I I'm so unhealthy that I don't remember what water tastes like. Yeah, I myself am actually a freegan, which means if there's free food in the break room, I'll eat it. But I have been thinking about going on a diet for about 15 years, and I'm still narrowing it down. The last time I went on a diet was Slim Fast. And most people are like 2 shakes and a sensible meal. And for me, I'm like, the more shakes, the merrier. Get on over here. And that's when it was original recipe Slim Fast, so the only 2 ingredients were chalk and more chalk. So delicious. Yeah, but the diets that are out there right now are just too much. Like the keto diet. Keto, thank you. That diet is so strict that they are jealous of vegans. Jealous of a vegan. Anyway, another diet that I'm actually like a little intrigued by is the fasting diet. And 4 out of 5 doctors call that anorexia. And, but when you add Jesus to it, it becomes divine, right? And that was his intention the entire time. He looked at his friend Paul, was like, do I look fat in these robes? And then he was like, you know what? I got to get back to my pre-baptism figure. So we went to the desert, starved himself until he hallucinated, came back, brand new Lord and Savior. Okay, Lord and Savior and diet guru. Okay, he became the Richard Simmons of Bethlehem. And it worked. Oh my God, did it work? Okay, when he died, he looked good. He didn't just look good, he looked fit. He didn't just look fit, he looked CrossFit. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, thank you so much. So yeah, the first bit is really what the I was like, okay, there's something here that it was the kernel of truth with that weirdo that I had to kick out of the library the other day, but like his khaki pants, I was just like, dude, that guy's a creeper. Like you could tell from across the room, and it was really the pants. Anyway, guys, any responses is welcome.
Yeah, while we're on that specific one, kind of, it's weird because it's kind of very similar note that you kind of gave me earlier, and I think if you start off with, a Cosmo article or a fashion magazine article, classic single librarian guy do's and don'ts or something, throw in those pleated pants right away, the pleated khakis, and then roll right into the why they're so terrible and talk about that incident, your experience that you had with that guy by himself in the library. I don't know why anyone would need an explanation to have to leave that section. I know, like, part of you is like, I have to be a professional about this and just say it's the rules, but if I wasn't a librarian and I saw you in there, we're like, dude, you're a creep, move out of the kids section. Like, you might as well just park your white windowless van right in the middle of like the story time area. And the book would be called How to Not Talk to Strangers. So it's just, but yeah, I think that taking the getting right to the meat, as it were, kind of thing. So as soon as you mentioned the Cosmo like fashion thing, I was like, oh yeah, start with the magazine like fashion tip at do's and don'ts, and roll right into the pleated pants and the shades and the mustache stuff. So, but yeah, definitely the Jesus bit was great. So yeah, I liked it.
The Jesus bit was a tag I got from this workshop. So I really do like this workshop. There is, I've gotten some really good stuff out of it. So for sure. Yeah, Tom, do you have any response?
I was just thinking the guy that was talking in the library, maybe just, try to deal with him nicely and all. He wouldn't shut up. And then you had to go kind of New York on him, like De Niro. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to anybody? And this should be, are you talking, period? Do you want me to straighten this out by myself, or do I have to talk to Joe Pesci? Something that was the thought that came to my mind. Anything else? Yeah, I mean, like the creepy guy with the pleated khaki pants. They should have a special. You have like 911. Some places have 311. Can't you go like dial 511 for the fashion police? Wouldn't it be nice if it was real fashion police to drag this guy out or something? Wrestling him into the bathroom. When he comes out, he's just wearing, jeans and a khaki shirt. I could accept that or whatever, something like that.
He's causing a crime against my eyes.
That's right.
That's funny. All right. Anything else? Anything else you want to add?
No, it's good stuff.
All right. Well, very cool, guys. This was short but sweet. I don't mind a shorter workshop. We just kind of get our stuff done and get some good reactions, and I like it. So again, you can follow me at Alisha Rayne on Instagram, at Alisha Rayne 2 on Twitter. You can look for me. I've got my first open mic that I am running. It's on March 14th. It's for another comedian, Paul Kilmer. It is his birthday. It's his birthday open mic, so you can find that on Displaced Comedians. I will post that in the chat as well, so you guys can check it out. And for sure, I think that's it. Eric and Tom, thank you so much. You guys did a great job. And we'll go ahead and say have a great Saturday.